Shattering Glass Chapter 8. I knew Young wanted to be a writer. He didn't let me read the stuff he wrote in high school, and I haven't read his book. That would take me back to a time I don't want to revisit. But Young did a good thing when he assigned his advance and royalties to Coop. And the best part was that Young did it on his own. This time, he knew what was right, and he did it. Rana Perry. My father never read my short stories. Coop and Bob had both asked, but their interest was more a matter of friendship than literature. I dodged them, but I gave Rob one of my stories the first time he asked, and he got it. He zoned in on the heart of the story and found the thing I needed the reader to find, so I gave him another one. Its title was Touch. The first lines were: His father never touched him, and Mark hungered for it. A hug with man smell, cigarettes, aftershave, and sweat. A clap on the back that signaled pride and relationship. Mark wore that hunger like a bandage, and the young camp counselor pulled the bandage from his wounds, just as he removed the clothes from Mark's body. Sitting in the blue and brown plaid chair in my bedroom, I felt increasingly tense as Rob read the story. When he finished, he didn't look away. You're a writer. You'll be a great writer. He arranged the pages, aligning the corners and sides. There's something else you need to know. I looked at him, wanting to know if he understood. You're not, well, what you think. I can tell from this story that you're confused about it. My pulse hammered in his ears. I, when it happened, I didn't. I just let it happen. I looked at Rob. Doesn't that mean that that was no revulsion? There was no revulsion on Rob's face, nor pity. You know, when you were a kid, your father undressed you and put you in your pajamas. He sat on your bed. If you had a bad dream, you might have slept with him. You sat on his lap while he read picture books. I nodded. My dad was disappointed in me, but he hadn't been a monster. He'd done all those things. So, Rob continued, how does a kid know when that stuff turns into something not right? But there was more, I said. Maybe, but you listened to a counselor you trusted, and he told you it was right. I had told myself this stuff, but hearing it from Rob made it real. You trusted someone you shouldn't have. That's the only mistake you made. I lowered my eyes so he wouldn't see the tears of relief and of gratitude. I wondered if Rob shared secrets with Bob and Coop. Had he found and patched a hole in them as he had in me? He had taken the thing that terrified me and chased it under a rock where it belonged. He was my hero, my savior, my friend. The phone rang Sunday a little after noon. I answered it in the kitchen as I made a sandwich. Young? Coop? Come over to Glasses. Why? I cradled the receiver between my ears and shoulder and swiped mayonnaise on the bread. Because we want you to see something. We? I licked the knife and tossed it to the sink. Me and Glass. I'm over here now. Coop was at Glasses on his own? I piled on turkey, cheese, pickles, lettuce, and tomato. Young, you still there? Yeah, I said, smashing down the top layer of bread. See what? I took a bite. Something slick. Can you get over here? Sure. Don't tell Rob you're coming, okay? Why? You saw him last night. He gets crabbed if we do something with Simon when he's not running the show. I knew Rob was with Blair today, so it didn't make much diff, but I felt a little guilty somehow. See you in 20. Simon answered his doorbell wearing the navy blue sweats and running shoes bought the day before. Come in. Coop's in my study working on the computer. I'd have sooner believed the sun was shining out of my dick. He's what? I followed Simon. I heard squawks and booms and static-filled explosions, all along with whines and shrieks and rat-a-tat machine gun sounds. Over all this, I heard Coop. All right, got another one. Way to go, Coop. Yeah, me. Turning the corner, I saw Coop hunched over the keyboard of an iMac, pounding buttons, squinting at the screen and shouting. What's going on here? I asked. Look at this. Coop pointed to the screen. Simon says he can help me read better and pass Park's vocab test with this thing. I edged closer and investigated. See, it's like a game. Simon says if I learn um, he stuttered to a stop and looked to Glass for help. Structural analysis, Simon said. Yeah, Coop pounded his forehead with the heel of his hand. Structural analysis. Structural analysis. I can remember that. I rubbed my eyes. This couldn't be happening. Coop doing schoolwork on a weekend and smiling about it? Next thing you'll be walking on the ceiling and playing the piano with your feet, I said. Coop looked baffled. Let me show you. He tapped a key and pushed his face closer to the flashing screen. Hydro, that's water. Bam, 50 points. Benny, that means good. Pow, 30 points. Spec, oh, that's hard. Oh, yeah, like in spectator, it means to look. Zap, 80 points. Is this great or what? Young? Glass motioned to me to join him out in the hall. I left Coop, raised fist over his head in a fit of self-congratulation. Glass, I don't know how you did this. We just let him copy our assignments, and sometimes he can't get that straight. Maybe that's not doing him any favors. I shook my head. Coop wouldn't have gotten past third grade if we didn't. Eventually he would. Coop's dumb, and he knows it. Sure, Simon shrugged. I just wondered who convinced Coop he was dumb, that's all. I glanced back at Coop pounding the keyboard, having a great time. He never looked that way when he copied our homework. Let's get a Coke or something. I trailed Simon into the kitchen and watched him fill glasses with ice and pull out 2 cans of Coke. As he poured the Coke, it fizzled and overflowed down the sides of the expensive looking glass. Simon swabbed the mess, managing to knock over a can. He flushed and turned up his palms. You fix the Cokes while I get a mop. I wiped the glasses, poured the drinks, and set them on the glass and chrome breakfast room table. I hated these tables. No place to hide your hands. Simon came back in with a mop and swatted at the puddle. When he finished, he leaned the mop against the wall. As he turned away, it fell, its handle smacking Simon in the back of the head. He rubbed his head as he sat down. Story of my life, huh? I sipped my Coke, then ran a finger through the beaded condensation ring on the glass. Coop might have gotten a case of the warm fuzzies for Glass, but I just didn't like the guy. I couldn't put my finger on exactly why. Chips? Glass pulled an oversized door open and grabbed a family-sized bag. He held it up. These all right? Terrific. Got any dip? The voice boomed over my head. Coop's food radar had kicked in. He plucked the package from Glass's hand. None for you, Glass man. You're going to lose a pound a week, remember? Simon grimaced, swiped at his nose, and muttered, slave driver. Coop's grin split his face. Yo, that's me, he acknowledged as he piled into the chair. Can I have my drink? Simon looked amused and relaxed. So, Glassman, do your parents actually live here, or do they just come by to leave notes on your door? Glass is independently wealthy. He lives here alone, dabbles in stocks and bonds, and goes to high school as a tax dodge. Even I thought I sounded bitchy. Simon definitely had a bad effect on my usual blandness. Coop made a goofy face. Guess that was a dumb question, huh? It's the only kind we expect from you, I said. I saw Simon's expression was disapproving and accusatory. If this little prick thought he could control me with a look, he needed a little sit down in my father's office chair.